As a whole, this is one of the best novel poetry I have ever read. A pleasant day, everyone. I am Jalen Paulo E. Matias from 12 Rutherford, and for today's video, I will be sharing to you my reaction or critic review of a poetry titled Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Invictus is a short poem by the Victorian-era British poet William Ernest Henley. It was written in 1875 and published in 1888 in his first volume of poems, Book of Verses, in the section Life and Death. So before I formally start, why do we need to write critiques? The purpose for writing a critique is to evaluate somebody's work. It can be a book, an essay, a movie, a painting, or a poem in order to increase the reader's understanding of it.
Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Henley wrote this poem about stoicism, courage, and refusing to accept defeat while enduring a severely testing time in hospital. He had contracted tuberculosis of the bone in his youth, and the lower part of one of his legs was amputated in his 20s. At its most basic level, reader response criticism considers readers' reactions to literature as vital to interpreting the meaning of the text.
After reading it for the third time, I had finally found the writer's attitude in this poetry. My perspective might be different from the writer's meaning because I use different illustration to feel the attitude or the spirit of this magnificent poetry. As a whole, Invictus is one of the best novel poetry I have ever read. Although it combines explicit and implicit meanings, yet makes this poetry easy to understand. Spending some of my time to feel and analyze it has made me feel stronger than before. Nothing more I can say except, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. In the very beginning of the poem, the poet says that he wants to thank God. In fact, he admits that his life has no ray of hope. Rather, his future seems to be dark as a pit. But then also, he is grateful to God for his unconquerable soul. He says that no pain can be able to curb his soul. Eventually, he claims that whenever he fell into some difficulty, he always remained unbeatable. However, situations have tried to destroy him. He always fights back with courage. In fact, he agrees that sometimes difficulties have made him bleed and suffer, but he never let himself to bow before them and cry out of fear. In the third stanza, the poet says that horror has always lurked behind him, but it always finds him unafraid. Whenever menace or trouble has come in his life, he faces it bravely. Finally, in the last stanza, Henley says that though the gate of life is narrow, he will definitely pass it with vigor. Moreover, he declares that he is the master of his fate, meaning his fortune. Also, he claims that he is the captain of his soul. Invictus by William Ernest Henley is an inspirational poem. This poem depicts the poet's attempt to motivate himself when there is no hope at all. When the poet writes this poem, he has already lost one of his legs. So, in such a situation of mental and physical agony, the poet tries to lift up his courage. Hence, this poem motivates the readers to understand the fact that nobody can control our lives. It only depends on us how we choose to live our lives. Henley ends his poem with a note that one should become the friend, philosopher, and guide of one's own soul. The tone and the attitude are the same, depicted by the poet's choice of words. Invictus has both positive and negative tones, although the dominant tone is positive. The speaker in Invictus has a positive attitude toward his future and his life, although he is aware of how difficult it can be. Life and death is the main theme of Invictus. The persona is describing what goes on in his life at present and the death he expects sometime in the future. He explains about the life of wrath and tears in his present moment and death. Horror of the shade expected afterward. This short analysis shows that Henley has beautifully used literary devices to make his poem impressive. The use of these literary devices has not only made this text appealing, but also opens up new dimensions for further interpretations. That is all for today, guys and girls. Goodbye and thanks for watching.